Hi Tarot friends, it's Jade here with Tarot Your Truth. If this is your first time visiting me, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you have visited my channel before, welcome back. Thank you for coming back. I am here today with another walkthrough. I'm going to try to do, this year I'd like to try to do walkthroughs of all of each of my decks. So I know I have quite a few already, but I would like to go through that. And this is one that I just received a couple of weeks ago. I have been waiting a couple of months for it because it had to come from overseas. And this is the Ancient Enlightened Tarot, which is a version of the Sola Busca. This one here is by Lo Scarabeo. The back. The Mysteries of Medieval Alchemists in the 16th Century Allegories of the Sola Busca Tarots. The box is actually quite beat up. It came beat up in the mail. When I received it, it was still shrink wrapped, both the box and the deck inside. But that's okay. I don't really keep my decks in the boxes anyways. Anyway, so there it is. So that is the box. I've already taken the cards out. Here are the backs. I can sort of take or leave this green. I'm not super crazy about it, but that's okay. At some point I could always reback it if I want to. I was impressed actually with the booklet. This is the booklet that comes with it, and you would think, so normally the Lo Scarabeo booklets come in the 6 different languages, and so you're really only getting, in a booklet like this, you're really only getting a few pages, maybe a short paragraph at the most, description on each card, and this actually is, this entire thing is in English. So we've got 57 pages, and you can see that's some English writing in there. So it was great. Actually, this is quite, I was quite impressed with this, probably more impressed with this booklet actually than the book that came, the hardbound book that came with the Sola Busca Museum Quality Kit also by Lo Scarabeo. Something quite interesting about this booklet, and we'll get to the cards in just a second, but so there's, you know, about a half a page per booklet, per card, I'm sorry. That's for the majors. The minors, about the same thing. The writing is fairly small, so if your eyesight's not super great, then you probably need glasses or magnifying glass to read this. But something really interesting about this, and I haven't quite figured out what this is all about just yet, but what they do is, in addition to the description of what's going on in the card, they have actually taken each card. So for example, the Fool, they call this one the immediate future, something to watch for. And then when we go to the Magician, that is also immediate future, something to watch for. Okay. We go to the High Priestess, possible outcome. This may or may not happen. So interesting. And then we move to the Empress, and all of a sudden the title is a recent event, what has passed. The Emperor becomes the resolution, most likely outcome. The Hierophant becomes the crossing, helps and hindrances. And then we start again. Well, actually, it's not exactly in the same order, but the Lovers becomes possible outcome. This may or may not happen. The Chariot is the crossing, helps and hindrances, and so on. So, oh, here we go. This is actually a new one. Justice is what others feel. So other person's opinion of the situation. The Hermit is immediate future, something to watch for. The Wheel of Fortune is your subconscious, hopes or fears. The Strength card, which in this case is card 11, is the foundation, important past event. The Hanged Man is hopes or fears, your subconscious again. Death is what has passed, a recent event. Temperance is your opinion of the situation, so how you feel. The Devil is the immediate future, something to watch for. The Devil gets a whole page. The Tower is possible outcome. This may or may not happen. The Star is the crossing, helps in hindrances. The Moon is also the crossing. The Sun is the resolution or most likely outcome. Judgment is the cover, present situation. And the same for the World. So that's really interesting. And also interesting is that each of the minors has a different one of those categories as well. So yeah, I have to do a little bit more reading about this. There is no, in this booklet, there's no other explanation. There's no sample spread or what other things that would typically be in a Lo Scarabeo book. It's simply the descriptions of each of those cards. But again, a little bit more impressed with that than with the museum quality one. Okay, so I'm going to turn these over. And let's look at the cards. By the way, I'm sorry, I actually spilled a candle. Hot wax. I haven't been able to get that spot out yet. Okay, so the Fool. The Magician. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause here and I am going to do a comparison walkthrough with the museum quality kit. And I'm back. Okay, so I'm going to do this side by side. This one here is the Sola Busca Museum Quality Kit by Lo Scarabeo, which came out this year in 2019. You can see the cards are, and the images themselves within the borders are larger than this, but not by not a huge amount. It's maybe an inch. There you go, and about an inch and a quarter maybe, and maybe about half an inch or 15 millimeters if you'd rather. Okay. I'm going to warn anyone right now that there is, in this deck, there is some nudity and there is also some violent depictions. Yeah, so there's at least one or two cards showing heads that have been cut off and that kind of thing. So if that is not your cup of tea, then please feel free to skip this review. And I don't yet know this deck well enough to be able to tell you in advance when those are coming up, so I apologize for that. Anyway, so we have the Fool. The coloration obviously is very, very different, but the image is more or less the same. We have the Magician. The High Priestess. The Empress. The Emperor. Hierophant, the Lover, the Chariot, and in this case, Justice is number 8. The Hermit, the Wheel, Strength is number 11. The Hanged Man. I found this one interesting actually because in this deck here, the Ancient Enlightened Tarot, they actually made an error in the card. It is labeled as number 2 as opposed to number 12. It's actually interesting because that is a Lo Scarabeo error because the numbers are actually down here as well, in the same spot there. And it's just these ones. I've been debating actually just cutting these down, cutting all of those borders off. So I may do that at some point. That was Death. Oh, I'm sorry. That is not correct. There we go. They've cleaned this one up a little bit, so not only can you read the text a little bit better everywhere, but it's not quite as gory. You don't see the blood dripping down the face or in the mouth. Temperance. The Devil. The Tower. The Star. Obviously this one has been quite cleaned up, whereas the Sola Busca, you can still see from the original card the damage that was done to it. The Moon. The Sun. Judgment. The World. Okay. So let me grab the wands. Here we are. I much prefer these ones, the museum quality kit, to this cleaned up version, for a number of reasons. One is I just prefer the older artwork. This one seems more cartoony to me, but the advantage is that because these cards are smaller, and if I cut off the borders it'll be even smaller still, I can use these as a travel deck, whereas these ones I will unlikely be traveling with, and I can use this as a study deck. Okay, so this is the wand suit, and we're going to go from king to down to the ace. That's the king. The queen. The knight. The knave or page. There they've changed the color of his hair to a brown as opposed to a blonde. The Ten of Wands. the Nine of Wands, the Eight of Wands, the Seven of Wands, the Six of Wands. I don't know what's with the fascination with the nakedness and the underwear falling off everywhere. 5, 4, 3, 2, oops, and the Ace. Okay, we're going to move to cups or chalices. So we have the King, pretty much looks the same. The Queen, the Knight, Page. Again, they changed the hair color. The 10, Nine, 8, 7, 6, little cherubs, the 5, the 4, three. Oh, am I missing a card? That's not a 3. They're just not in order. Sorry about that. There we go. It's the 3. The 2. The cherub. And the Ace. You can see here they've, besides just the much more colorful palette, they've also made changes to the shield, whereas that one looks quite old and beat up. This one looks brand new. All right, so that is the cup suit. We are going to move to the Pentacle Suit, or coins as they are really called. Okay. The King. Here the bird has, that's interesting, they have cut off the top and the bottom of this card. So if you look here, you can see the bird's head, and then there's actually still a little bit of sky above it. And here you can see the bottom of the, I guess it's the throne that he's on, and you can see the bottom of his foot and some earth below it. And in this version, the bird's head has been cut off, and the bottom, part of the writing on the bottom has been cut off, in addition to this stupid little white box, which I don't know why they added, considering it's already up here. But anyways, the Queen, Knight, the Page, the 10. So this is actually that would be an issue if I decide to trim these cards. I'm going to end up trimming part of that white box at the bottom. Where am I? Am I out of order now? Yeah, that's a 9. Okay. And that's not the right card. Somehow we've gotten out of order here. Sorry. Sorry about that. Didn't think they had made that many changes to this deck. Alright, so there's the 8. The skull at the bottom. The 7. Six. The 5. The 4. The 3. The 2. And the ace. So again, it's been cleaned up. This looks like a pretty new shield. Other than that, looks pretty much the same. This guy looks like he's holding his head. All right, and the last suit are the wands. Okay. So we have the king, the queen, the knight, the page. I'm a lover, not a fighter. 10. Look familiar? Except in the RWS, Pam changed that card to the wand suit. This is the 9, the 8, the 7, the 6, looks like a pretty heavy load, the 5, the 4, this one looks like a celebration, the 3, also a familiar image, although the meaning is slightly different with these cards, the 2, and the ace. Okay, so I did do a slight modification. I edged these cards in black, as you can see. The cards did come with a slight bend. I don't know if you can see. If I put it this way, maybe you can see. That's not from me riffle shuffling. Actually, it's better than it was, because I sort of bent them backwards the other way a little bit, because the curve was definitely more pronounced. The cardstock is fairly thin. It's not. It's thinner than a lot of other decks that I have. Nowhere near the quality of the Sola Busca. They definitely don't have lamination. It's a bit shiny, but I would say more of a semi gloss than an actual gloss. And in terms of Let's see if I can do this without knocking everything over. I'm going to try to do this. They're pretty bendy. That didn't work out so well, but there you go. You can see I bent the cards. This is why I don't riffle shuffle. But yeah, so they're quite thin, and wow, that is actually quite a bow. Let's try this again. There we go. So I did bend those. I'll try with, there you go. It has a memory, clearly, because I just bent it the other way and it stayed the other way. So yeah, I don't expect these to last a terribly long time. That's okay, I don't need them to. Although, you know, you do spend a fair amount of money on these things, so you would hope that they would last a little bit. But I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do in terms of trimming the borders off. I might do that, but I am going to lose, if I do that, I'm going to lose some of this. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure just yet. But for now, I think this will be the deck that I pull out and take around with me, whereas the museum quality kit will be something that I study when I'm just at home. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Do you have this deck? Let me know. How do you like it compared to the Lo Scarabeo version? I'm sorry, they're both Lo Scarabeo. The museum quality version. Do you like the Sola Busca? Do you study it? I have recently gotten the Game of Saturn, the book from Scarlet Imprint that is specifically about this deck, and that is one of the things I want to do in 2020 is actually study this deck in much more depth. I would like to start using it for readings as well, just to see how things are. But I know that there are definitely differences in how the cards are read. The meanings there are definitely some different meanings. For example, the Three of Hearts, I know that, you know, the RWS version of the Three of Hearts looks pretty much the same except for this this wreath, I guess, at the bottom. And it typically means heartache and despair, whereas there's an added element to the Sola Busca meaning, which is it's not necessarily just heartache and despair without purpose. It is suffering with a purpose. So suffering to relieve the suffering of others, or suffering to, you know, sort of pain for future gain, I guess. Yeah, so that is a different, I know it seems like a bit of a nuance, because either way you're suffering, but it's not just heartache, hey, somebody broke up with you. It's actually suffering for a purpose, maybe taking on some of the pain. You know, maybe as a it could even mean something like, as a parent, you forego something because you're you know, to pay for your children's education or whatever it may be. So you go without so that they can go with, that kind of thing. And I know that there are definitely differences in other cards as well. We talked about the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Wands, how they are reversed in this deck. And I'm sure there's others, but I just haven't really gotten through it just yet. Anyway, yeah, so let me know. I would love to know. Let me know in the comments below. I would love to know if you have this deck or the Sola Busca, and if you have both, how do you like them? Did you trim it? You know, how do you use it? How do you find it? Do you have the Game of Saturn, and have you studied it? How has that impacted your readings in general, as well as your readings with the RWS version of cards of tarot? Anyway, so that's it for me, and I hope you've enjoyed. Please do hit the like and subscribe button. I would appreciate it. And until next time, tarot your truth.